if you are out there right now listening to this thinking, geez, I wish I could be those guys, or I could just start, you're already starting without realizing it. It's in your head. So don't feel bad. Just keep following that want. And you're going to get there.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Bearded IT Dad, where we give you advice and insight on how to grow your career in the IT field. My name's Dakota, and today we have a very special guest. He just landed his first job as an IT support specialist, but he has an amazing journey to tell you guys today. He's A+ certified, Net Plus, and is working on his Security Plus, and he also creates content for YouTube. Please welcome Caleb to the show. Caleb, welcome. How's it going?
Hey guys, it's going good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yes. And so we met because you are a YouTube content creator, and you kind of told me your story, and do you mind kind of sharing what you do for a living and how you got your start in the field?
Let's see if I can make it a short story. So it all started a few years back. I went through and I wasn't happy where I was at as far as my job was going. I was working in retail for 10 years straight for the same company, selling the same stuff. And it was to the point where I would drive up to the parking lot and I'd be physically sick to my stomach just because I was in a rut. So I decided to talk to my wife, and I needed to make a change, and got into school, college for IT. And then that turned into me getting certifications for IT, which turned into me starting a YouTube channel because I realized that there can always be more information out there for people out on the internet who want to start in tech. I know, and my channel originally was just to hold me accountable to get my certifications, and it kind of blossomed into a whole new something different, and I've loved every minute of it since. And then
nice.
Since then, that helped me kind of get my first job into IT. So I started my channel before I had a position, and within the past few months, I got my first entry position into IT, and now I do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm an IT support specialist, so I'm dealing with hardware. I'm working with Linux. I'm remoting into servers and resetting things, and it's been awesome.
I want to kind of dive in really quick to your journey. You said you started taking college courses. What did that look like when you first decided to make this, you're ready to make a career change? What was all involved with that?
a lot. So I did not do well in school previously. So in high school, World of Warcraft and girls were the most important thing ever, and studies were not. So when I decided to take my leap, I told my work, hey, I'm going to step down. I went down to part-time hours, and I, of course, talking to the wife first. And she's like, yeah, let's make it work. And so I did that, started school, and I had to start taking 5th grade level math. So I started, my son is doing things right now that I started college doing, and I ran through, and I got about a year and a half in until I realized that the courses I wanted to take were only offered once a year, and that 2-year degree was going to take more like 4 years. So I started looking into WGU, which I still plan on heading towards, and just working on getting my certifications and leveling myself up in whatever way I can to prepare for that.
Yeah, I mean, and you hear that a lot of people going towards that WGU route. But that's definitely, schooling is definitely not for everyone. And you mentioned that in your college courses, you got some of your initial IT certifications. What was that like? Getting those IT certifications. How much studying did you have to do for those? And do you think those helped land it? Those certifications help. Do you think those certifications helped you land your first job?
Yeah. So when I started school, I mean, one of my first classes was basically the core one of the A+. And the first day I walked in, he started asking the class, who's put together a computer? And my hand was up. And who's put together more than 3? My hand stayed up. Who put more than 5 together? 10, 15, and my hand stayed up because I've been playing with technology since forever. I just didn't think I was smart enough to be in the field, honestly. So I didn't try. And he's like, okay. Well, you can help out with the class. So I did for a little bit. And then it turned into, if you get your core 1, I'll just go ahead and auto pass you. So that started me wanting to get my certification right then and there. So my study habits at that time was I was part-time and I had a bunch of hours. So I would wake up about 7, 8 in the morning when my kid did, and then pretty much study until 10 or 11 at night. Some days were 16-hour days. Some
Wow.
days were 8-hour days because I was just trying to burn as much as I could. And that kind of pushed me to move forward into getting my Net Plus and other things. Because to me, it's like I just went down to part-time. My family's relying on me to find a job in tech. Yeah, things were getting really bad from that decision. So what I had to offer was as much time and energy into my goals to make it happen as possible. So I learned a lot. I learned, time management was very important. So that helped me keep track of things that I needed to get done and do. I learned how to make smaller goals so that way they can turn into reaching that big goal. And then I went and I researched how to research. I was researching how to learn, taking a 30-minute learning session, having a 5 or 10-minute break, the Pomodoro. I can't say it. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Pomodoro.
Thank you.
Pomodoro.
Yeah, like that helped me a ton, especially during those long training sessions. So that's kind of what my habits ended up being when I was going for the certifications. I've kind of toned it down now since I have a job. So
absolutely. So how was that once you landed that first job? What was that initially like, starting in the IT field? Were you scared? Were you excited? How was that like?
I was ecstatic. So my interviewing experience up until the point that I had this interview for the job I have now wasn't the best. A lot of people have gone through this where they're interviewing and they're just asking questions that are way over your head. I had a 4-hour interview before this interview, and at that time, it hurt so bad. It was, first there was 3 different levels to get the interview. When you got the interview, you had 25 questions that you had to write down your answers to on paper, how you would fix the problem. Then they gave me an Einstein quiz that I had to figure out. And then it was a 3-panel interview going over every single question and me talking about why I chose to fix it that way or something. And like partway through that part of the interview, I was like, I'm not going to get this. This isn't going to happen. So I think I said out loud that, well, I'm going to get something out of this interview. And when they asked me those level 3 questions, because they at the end told me there was level 2 and level 3 questions on there. I would just be like, how would you do that? And they would walk me through teaching me how to do some of these problems they're asking me for. So I got something out of it, but I went home defeated. So when I finally had this interview, all the questions seemed to be on the right pace. I felt really good about it. And I got that job. I was elated. I was so excited. All this time that I've spent practicing wasn't for waste, which is kind of how that last interview left me feeling. And since then, it's been great. I'm loving what I'm doing.
That's so amazing. I love hearing those stories. And yeah, the interviewing process, a lot of times, especially when you're looking for that first entry level job, making that career change is rough. By all means, it is difficult to do. But afterwards, once you finally land that job, it's like it all happens for a reason, and it's just getting you to that point. So, do you mind kind of, telling people what you do, like as a IT support specialist, what is your job, like kind of like your day-to-day operations?
Yeah. So try not to keep it too vague, but keeping it vague. So right now I get in and I work on hardware for part of my morning. So that's bringing in refurbished servers that got sent back to us, opening them up, do diagnostics on them, and replacing whatever parts and pieces I can if they're not under warranty, and making sure that they work. So I get some hardware play in there. I work with switches, little Dell Octoplex machines, which if you don't know what those are the little black boxes that you see at a lot of retail stores now that they just have on the back of their computers, which is funny because I used to like fight with those things at my old job all the time. And then once things speed up, I'll get on the phones and I'll be taking calls. So I'll have techs on site who are replacing things, and I kind of walk through the process. If there is a machine down that I can remote into, I'll remote into the server that we sent on site there, and then I will ask that machine very nicely to restart itself. And a lot of the times, that's getting into the smart switch and just turning off the power to the PoE port and turning it back on. So there's some Linux there. They also use some PowerShell for their scripting. So I'm surrounded by Bash and PowerShell. We're going to be using Ansible and a lot of cloud related things, which are things that I really enjoy and I'm excited about. So I'm in this perfect position where I'm seeing all these things I love around me, and I get to learn every day when I'm there and then come home and learn something more. So it's been great.
Nice. Now, I mentioned that you are studying for your Security Plus. Is that kind of your career goal? Do you want to get into cybersecurity, or what does your career path look like? So
that's a good question. So I'm still so new, and a lot of people will tell you when you first walk into the doors, a lot of people have this, I'm gonna work in cybersecurity. And then they start doing things and they're like, you know what? I kind of like networking more. And I think I'm kind of in one of those phases, because my overall goal is I'm trying to go on the path of a DevSecOps guy. I love DevOps. I think that whole idea of it and the concept is awesome. And they kind of touch on a little bit of everything, a little bit of networking here. There's cloud there, there's security there. So I get to just throw this wide net of learning everything. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm loving every bit of it. So that's kind of my goal, is just keep going that way until something pulls me another direction. I can tell you from my Security Plus studies so far, it's putting me to sleep when networking never did. So that's telling me something right there. Maybe I can still head that way, but I'll be more on the cloud or networking. So we'll see.
Absolutely. And, that's one thing I always tell people is I think it's important that you start off on the help desk, because it really exposes you to a little bit of everything. And a lot of times you'll you'll start into the field thinking you're going to do one thing, and then realize you absolutely hate that thing and you really like something else. I always knew I liked networking, and luckily when I got into the help desk, I fell in love even more with networking. So, I kind of kept on going that path. But I know personally people who thought, went to the field like, I'm going to be cybersecurity, and once they started like studying for it even more, and started to see what cybersecurity is all about, they realized, well, it's actually not as cool as I thought it was. There's a lot of like paperwork and writing reports. You got like 10% of actually doing the job and like 90% of filling out reports about what happened. And that's not for everyone. So the help desk kind of gives you a little taste of everything and really, highlights what you like to do in the field. So let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel. You kind of mentioned why you started it, but can you kind of elaborate a little bit more about what your goal is with your YouTube channel and what you're trying to do there?
Yeah. So, excuse me. So my YouTube channel, like I said before, has evolved, and with myself evolving, it's just going to continue evolving. Right now, my goal with my channel is to create a space where there's people looking to get into tech or studying up and wanting to level up so they can get into tech, and then take that a step further and help people progress. So right now it's, let's get some cert study stuff in there. So I throw out 10 questions usually on a weekly basis if I can, just going over concepts and objectives on the CompTIA tests that I've taken and passed or I'm working on. I started doing them for the Security Plus as well. And it's just to see where you're at. And if you don't get one right, then maybe that means you can go back and study. So I have that out there. I'd like to continue making lab videos going over, once again, topics that are on these exams. So you can actually like see what's going on because I'm doing them, but then you can bring up your own virtual machine and you can do those as well. And then just kind of share my experience. So as I learn more, I'm going to share that knowledge with you guys and just keep the ball rolling and growing from there. And yeah, I just can't wait to meet all the cool people that are out there, honestly. So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's a great field. My next question is, if you could go back in time and talk to your past self, knowing what you know now about getting into the IT field, what advice would you give yourself?
I would have started as early as I possibly could have, I think. So I would have went 10 years ago and been like, hey, you like tech? And I just keep poking me until I actually started to study tech. And it's funny because when I look back now, everyone around me would tell me that. But no, I wanted to teach people, which is another reason why I'm loving YouTube, right? Because get to teach people. But now I'm also doing tech, which I really enjoy. So everything's coming full circle. I just wish I could have started it 10 years ago, because I feel like time's been wasted and there's so much to learn and I don't have enough time.
Absolutely. It seems like there's never, with the rate everything is changing in the technology field, you have to constantly be studying to keep up to date with the times. And I think the sooner you start, the sooner you can accelerate your career and start making the big bucks or get into those higher positions, whatever your goal is for tech. I tell everyone's goal is different. Some people are to get into the field just to try to make a lot of money. Some people really enjoy the technology. But whatever your goal is, I think the sooner you can start building that initial experience, the sooner you can start leveling up your career position.
Yep, don't wait.
So
just do it.
Yeah. Do you have any other advice you want to share with the audience, about, getting your start?
I guess it'll just add on to kind of what I was saying. So if you are out there right now listening to this thinking, geez, I wish I could be those guys, or I could just start, you're already starting without realizing it. It's in your head. So don't feel bad. Just keep following that want. And you're going to get there no matter what. So don't worry about it too much. Try not to think too much on the fear aspects of starting something new because it is crazy scary. But take that leap of faith. Honestly, just jump into it and then you'll know for sure if it's the direction you want to go or not. And I feel pretty confident that saying it will be worth it. It's worth taking that leap of faith. If it's not scary, then it's probably not something you should be doing.
Absolutely. That's a really great saying there. I really like that. If people want to connect with you more, find out more information about you, where can they find you?
They can find me, of course, on my YouTube channel. So that's Bad Panda Tech. And then I am on LinkedIn. And I believe that is under Bad Panda Tech as well. If not, it's on as Caleb Wright. I'm sure we'll put a link down below. And I've been changing my names of everything around. And then I'm also on Facebook. So I decided to get off Twitter and go to Facebook. So Bad Panda Tech on Facebook.
Excellent. We'll make sure and link all those down in the description or show notes below. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the channel and share your journey and hopefully inspire other people that this is truly an achievable career path for anyone who really wants to take that leap of faith.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, keep learning.